Hello there, I hope you're having a great day, and in this video I'm going to show you how to get all 10 shaders in the Rotten Autumn update for Mortal Shell. Now this is a free update, it's like a Halloween event for everybody, and I was pleasantly surprised by this because I haven't had the game long, so yeah, it was really cool that they're putting this out for everybody. Okay, so you are going to need quite a few consumables. Hopefully you've got a few rotten gourds. If you haven't, then maybe you've got some rotten food. Those items would be really handy. But don't worry, if you haven't got those items, you can get some roasted rats. And they're readily available from the vendor at the top of the tower. So we just go up these stairs, take a left out one of the doors. It's not really a door, it's just a gap. Okay, run round to the left, round the outside of the tower. Those trees look so nice. Okay, underneath this bell, it's really lovely looking bell underneath there. Don't mind the chains, you can get up these stairs. So you go all the way to the top. So it's easily missed, this vendor, so I thought I'd show you where he is. Now, when you're up here, definitely make sure that you pet the cat. You don't need to, but I like cats. I'm looking after 4 at the moment, so I pet a lot of cats. Okay, anyway. Right, talk to this guy. And he can sell you some rats. Now, they're 100 tar per rat. So, yeah, they cost quite a bit. Oh, that's disgusting, isn't it, when he does his ear like that. Okay, so get as many rats as you need. Now, how many you need will depend on how much you have of the other materials, but normally, you know, if you get about 10, say 1,000 tar, that should do you. Okay, so now we have to go to the big frog, and he is in the swamp. So what I'll do, I mean, you can fall down the side here, but so things don't get confusing, I'll just take us back to where we started. So back down the stairs, back to the sister. Okay, so from here we can just go out the door to the right. It's a really cool door, it's all up. I love the way it's all broken and busted. The lighting is really nice. Anyway, so we come out that door and we need to go to the right. But first of all, you might as well pick up these mushrooms. They normally spawn in the same places, so it's worth just remembering where they spawn and picking them up. Okay, so we've got those. So we continue underneath this big log. So there's different ways to get to the frog, but this is the way I go. Now this swamp area, it is all sort of interconnected, so it can get a bit confusing. There may be a quicker way to get there, but it doesn't really matter because it's a good idea to kill some enemies on the way anyway. You need some tar. And hopefully they might drop a few items you need. You never know, you might get a rotten gourd if you're lucky. Or a bit of rotten food. Okay, what's this? Ah, nah. Unlucky. Right. Now watch out for the man traps on the floor. It's easy to get caught in those. Okay, what's he got for me? Nope. Okay, so come down here. This is sort of the central area. At the start of the game. Now, these frogs are really cool hopping around. Okay, so if you look to the left, there's a group of guys having a little campfire, and you can see all those hanging bags. I don't even know what's in those. But anyway, come up here. Watch out for there's quite a few man traps. Now you can lure the enemies into those traps. They just walk straight into them, which is handy. But I ain't got time for that, so just hack these guys. And when there's a group of them, you have to watch it. I mean, individually they're not too much trouble, but sometimes they can gang up on you. Okay, I did a parry there. Parry and riposte, so you can do a lot of damage with that. You definitely need to learn that technique. That's really going to help you out later on. Those projectiles are a pain. Okay. Take out this big dude. I normally harden for this guy and finish him off. Now you have to hold down the harden button. You don't just press it once, like you hold it down and you can stay hardened for as long as you want, really. I didn't realise that to start with. thought the game was a lot more difficult than it actually was. Okay, so finish off these guys. I just run at the right time to miss that projectile there. Okay. That's enough of you. And there's a stone here with a light in it. So if you look just to the right there, we can see the toad. Sorry, he's not a toad, he's a frog. His name is actually Gorf, which is frog backwards. A little bit trivia for you. Okay, so now we've cleared a path to the frog. Here he is. He's a big... I don't think he needs feeding really, but we're going to feed him quite a lot of stuff. This is how you get the shaders. Okay, so for this guy, I'm going to feed him... What should we give him? Rats? Give him some of those rats. Or I've got some rotten food, so I could give him a piece of rotten food instead. I haven't got any rotten gourds, unfortunately. I used those all up before. Do not give him boiled frog. That's the one thing, edible thing, he doesn't like. Okay, so if you give him one piece of rotten food, and he'll spit out the first shader for you. Yeah, he's munching away. Hopefully he likes it. I don't know why he likes rotten food, but there you go. So now you've got to play him a tune. So get out your little guitar banjo thing, wherever it is. Play him a little ditty, and hopefully it'll regurgitate a shader. It'll butt off all over you. Okay, so that's the first shader. It's pretty cool. It's got snakes all over it. It's the Slytherin shader. I don't know if that's a homage to Harry Potter. I'm not a Harry Potter fan, but Slytherin, is that something to do with Harry Potter? Or maybe. Okay, anyway, for the second shader, you can give him 10 roast rats. That's like a lot of tar to buy all those. So hopefully it will barf up the second shader. Now each shell in the game, there's 4 shells, has 2 shaders. And this is the second shader for Teal. Kind of like thief character. He's very mobile. Okay, so you just repeat that process. Now here for Harros shell, the Harros shell, I'm going to give him 4 bits of rotten food. Now if you give him 4 bits of rotten food, he will barf up the second shader for Harros. Again, that applies to all the shells. You give him 4 bits of rotten food, he'll give you the second shader. So you don't, if you haven't got 10 roasted rats, you can give 4 bits of rotten food. So that's a nice shade. It's got like a pumpkin-y, golden, yellow. That's a nice one. I like that. Okay, so this is the Solomon shell. And yeah, we're going to give him some rats. He's going to barf up the first shader for Solomon. That's pretty cool. That is the Dracula inspired The Count. So it's like you're covered in blood. So yeah, you can give, if you haven't got a bit of rotten food, you can give 5 roasted rats. But I wouldn't use the rotten food for the second shaders really. It's probably best to use those for the first shaders. There's another 10 rats for the second shader for Solomon, which is kind of like a really cool I really like this one. It's really metal in it. It's got black and white. That's a really cool shader. They might not want to get all these shaders because there's, you know, it's a lot of resources you use up. But you know, I'm not really a completionist, but I just found myself compelled to get them all. Okay, here we go, Horus. I'm giving him 5 roasted rats for the first shader. So I think you can do it in any order. You don't have to do the first shader and then the second. I think you can do it in any order. That's rather nice shade. It's all got a black armour with gold trim on it. It's pretty cool. Okay, now I did say there was 10 shaders. So obviously if you do your maths, or you do your math, 4 shells, 2 shaders per shell, that's only 8. But there are 2 other shaders you can get. Now if you use a tainted nectar, it will actually force you out of your shell, because the last 2 shaders are actually when you're unshelled. So, and it's the same, you do the same thing, you use the same materials. So I'll give him my bit of rotten food. Just 1 bit of rotten food and I should get the first shader. So I can see all the muscles and everything. Played a little tune. And there we go, there's the first shader. Oh, there's another Dracula inspired one. It's like skin's been ripped off my body. Some blood. Oh, it's really gross. Super Meat Boy. That's a cool game actually, if you've played that. I suppose because this is like almost an indie title, they're paying a bit of homage to another classic indie title. And there's the shell I came out of. The Harris shell. I like the way it's got like moss on it and algae, like it's been there for years. That's a really nice touch. Okay, let's feed him one last time. Okay, 10 more rats. Oh my god, that's a lot of tar. It is a bit of grinding getting all that tar. So if you've got a rotten gourd that you can give instead of the 10 rats, because if you had a rotten gourd you could just give him that instead of the 10 rats and that give you a second shader. So if you've got 5 rotten gourds, then you're laughing really. Otherwise you're going to need a lot of roasted rats. Okay, get back into my shell. Okay, so there you go. That's pretty much how you get all 10 shaders. Okay, so to summarise, it gets a bit complicated with all these resources. The first shader is 1 piece of rotten food or 5 rats. For the second shader, if you've got a rotten gourd, you only need 1 of those, so that's a win. If not, if you've got 4 rotten foods, that will work. Otherwise you're going to have to give him 10 roasted rats. So yeah, if you work it out, if you haven't got any gourds, then that's a lot of rats. I like this little pumpkin patch. That's another thing they've done in the update, is they put pumpkins everywhere. It's pretty cool. Even some of the enemies have got pumpkins on their heads. I just love the environmental artist is fantastic in this game, and the quality of this work is just, I keep stopping and just looking around going, wow. It's so lush, it's like dense. All the materials, just so beautifully done. Okay, now fortunately you don't have to keep feeding the frog to change your shells. Once you've unlocked them, then you can just flip between them. If you go to the shell inventory here, and as you see, you can just flip through them and choose which one you want to wear, and you can do that for all the 4 shells. Now you can't do that for the unshelled shaders. I think you have to just feed him again. Now there is additional content in the main menu that is part of this event, that you can enable and disable it. And there's even another soundtrack you can download that's part of the update, and this gives you sort of alternate music for the boss fights. And it's by this metal band. I think they are Greek, I think, if I remember rightly. But I won't have that alternate music for my first run. I think I'll stick to the default, but it's cool. If you do a second run, you can put that on. And the seasonal content, I don't think it's going to expire. I think you can just disable and enable it, so you can enjoy it whenever you want to, which is a nice little touch. Okay, now there is a photo mode in the update as well, so I thought I'd show you that. We can have a good look at these shells, and it's really good photo mode. I mean, most games now have these modes in them. There's so many different features, and you can add a title in, like the logo, every sort of camera setting you can think of. And you can even if you haven't unlocked the shells, this is in the way, hold on a minute. Okay, yeah, even if you haven't unlocked the shells, you can use the photo mode to check them out. So you can just check them out and just unlock the ones you want to. There you go. Oh yeah, that seal, that's a tarnished seal. You need to get that to allow you to do the parrying. And you can get that from the tower. If you search the tower, you'll find that. Now this is another of the shell. This is one of the other shells that you can get shaders for. This is the Eredrim shell, and there's a really nice Yellow King shader. I like that one. I mean, look how all the work in this. It's crazy. All the different bits and pieces they've put together. So beautifully designed and constructed. I do actually like the default shader, but the other shaders are called Anointed Butcher. That's another cool one. So the default shaders are a bit sort of dark, and the new shaders have add a bit of colour, if you like a bit of colour. Okay, so it's time to sit down, play a little tune by the fire, unwind. Look at all the, I like all the little bits that they put in the environments, little pots and bottles, and there's so much work gone into it. It's definitely a labour of love, this game. Okay, let's check this guy out in photo mode. I haven't actually ventured far from the swamp. I've just been exploring the swamp area, really. Just looking for the shells. Oh, look at that dagger, that's so nicely done. All the belts and buckles. You can see the serpents on his hoodie. I mean, they sculpt these figures really high res. I mean, that's working that sword. They use programs like ZBrush and Mudbox and to sculpt these things. So if you want to get into this type of thing, I definitely recommend Blender. It's a free program, and you can sculpt and do polygon modeling and create all this sort of thing. And it's a free program, and it's really good to use. I've used it. So if you want to get into this type of thing, it's a great way to start without having to spend money on expensive software. The environmental artist has done such an amazing job. This is definitely the best Souls-like game that I have ever played. So the metal shader, I probably use this one quite a lot. And this is actually the only weapon I've got so far. There are other weapons you can unlock, but I'm just sort of leveling up this weapon. look at all the intricacy of the armour and the rivets, and so nice. That's the default one. There's the Dracula one. Looks like he's been in battle, he's got covered in blood. It's pretty cool. There's so much work in this. Look at that clasp there. All the little rivets. It must be so time consuming constructing these models. And it's a free camera, so you can just go off and explore with the camera, get another view of the environment. So you really got to appreciate them a bit more when you see them like that. And this is on sort of the outskirts of the swamp, so I haven't gone further than this. I've got to this guy here, and I looked at him and thought, nah, I'll take him on later. But even the enemies, just as much work in the enemies. They've got their own cool weapons and armour. All that detailing work in the helmet, so nicely done. I love this environment. It's real dark fantasy. I've really taken it up a notch. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is in the update, but I thought I'd show it to you anyway. This might have been in the main game, but I stumbled on this little sort of secret area. Well, that's not really secret. You just go through a tunnel there. It's in the swamp, and I just sort of stumbled across it and found this sort of little structure. Really, really cool. Like a little monument. And what it does, it allows you to play the game without using a shell. Well, it's like challenging you to play the game without using a shell. You probably get some award for doing it, but you're really defenseless without your shell. So, wow, I don't think I'm going to be doing that myself. But some people have already done it. They've done unshelled runs like of the whole game. It's crazy. Okay, anyway, that's the end of this video. I'll just leave you with some cool concept art. The main concept artist, I think he's Russian, and he's done all this fantastic work. But I think behind any great game there's fantastic concept art. It's really nice pieces. I just got these from the main website for the game, so they make really nice wallpapers. Really cool. There is a little art book that comes with the game, and I did a video on that. You can check that out if you haven't seen it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you played the game. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye for now.